Good evening, everyone. We are live. I'm joined here by my colleague Zinia and Arunima here. I know we haven't announced this Facebook Live, but we just thought we'll do one anyways because people can go in and look at what we want to say and they can rewind and play. There's been quite massive changes that have been announced at 4 o'clock yesterday, so exactly about 24 hours ago. And we've been fielding questions, hundreds and hundreds of inquiries coming through WhatsApp, Facebook, on the phones. So we thought it just makes sense because every time there's a big change, we like to come on board and take some questions and tell you of some scenarios to explain to you what it actually means for you. So today we're going to take no more than about 10-15 minutes, but we just want to really get into what this means for a lot of people. Zinia, just very quickly, can you please take us through the changes? And then we'll pick up some questions that we have been asked frequently since yesterday.
Sure. So just before I do have to make a disclaimer that we are both in the office. It is rush hour, 5 p.m. So you might hear rain, you might hear traffic, and sometimes you might hear other people around us talking. So we do apologize in advance for that. Changes. Most people know the changes by now already, so I'm going to run through it pretty quickly. There's auto extensions for anybody whose visa is expiring before the end of the year, but your visa has to be employer specific, which means doesn't include open visas. So essential skills, work to residence. So if you have an employer specific work visa, auto extended by 6 months, as long as it expires before the end of the year. And then the other changes are a bit complex. We've got the official date for ANSCO changes. That's 27th of July. So they're coming in. So if you're earning 2550 and above, you don't need SMR and you'll get 3 years. If you're earning below 2550, you'll get 1 year and you're going to require work and income as well. And then we've got this other weird mixture of changes where the low skill is now becoming 6 months. So that starts from Friday. So if you are going to be a low skill worker under the current scheme, or if you're going to be a lower paid worker in the 27th July scheme, you're going to get a 6-month visa. These people were getting 12 months, but now it's going to change to 6 months. Going back to what I just said, the 27 July ANSCO changes. If you are earning 2550 and above, 3 years. If you're earning 2550 and below, 6 months. So that window, that means anybody who's actually who's a low skill worker right now has until 11:59 p.m. on Thursday to submit an application to actually get 12 months. After that, it is 6 months.
Yeah, thank you. Just to give you some perspective on this as well, I have spoken to numerous people over the last 24 hours or so, and they've sort of talked about, I will get 2550, will I just get the 3 years? Well, it's not just get the 3 years. There's a big fat layer of advertising and labor market testing. And as we know that through COVID, all of this became quite heightened and it became quite tough. So you still have that layer of advertising that needs to be cleared off before you can actually get the 3 years. So here's some scenarios for you guys. Actually, before I get on to the scenarios, we have been asked partners of visa holders. So if your spouse is on an essential skills, they will be auto-extended for another 6 months, but the partner and dependent children will not. That's based on the information that immigration has announced yesterday. If there's further changes that come about and they say, they'll be covered, that's different. But based on yesterday's announcements, they are not going to be covered, which then possibly implies that they will have to apply for those extensions based on their relationship with the spouse. Interim visas are not covered, right, Zinia?
From our understanding, they should be because it just depends whether there's that employment specific condition on it or not. So it's not a yes or no answer that I can give because it just depends what the condition around that is.
So these are the questions that have been asked to immigration. There's obviously quite a bit of clarity that's missing. So we've got some question mark around there. Those people that had the 2-year post-study work visa, they made it open after a variation. Those people are on open work visas. Our understanding is that they will not be covered by this auto extension as well. Visitors definitely are not going to be covered.
It's only the auto extension is really, I think last time when immigration did the auto extension, it was for everybody. So this time the auto extension is for a very specific group of people. It is those having work visas that have closed employment conditions. It is specifically for those people, and they're auto extended by another 6 months. There is one thing that people have to be quite aware of at this stage, that, you know, a lot of clients have told us, oh, okay, I'll just get 2550 and I'll file my visa after 27 July and I'll get 3 years. Along with the advertising challenge that people have to be mindful of, they also have to be wary that you can't just jump from minimum wage to 2550. Like, you can't have a pay rise to 2550 for immigration purposes. The employer has to be able to justify, why are they giving you 2550? And, you know, like the standard market jump is about 2 to 3%. You're going from 1890 to 2550. You can expect some real flags to be raised. And you have to be quite careful, because when you fall from that 3 years, you're going to fall to 6 months. You're not going to fall to 12 months. So you have to be very careful about that little story that you're telling and about how you're telling it.
Yeah. And I think I've also been told by people that, you know, they've been working as a retail supervisor. Their manager might have applied for residence at $25 an hour. And they're like, you know what, that's fine. My employer will give me $25.50. Well, that doesn't really work that way, because you've got the person that's actually running the show is on $25. It doesn't make sense that you're going to be reporting to them, but be paid higher. So there's a lot of things that need to fall into place. It's not just a flat $25.50 and boom, there you go. Just to give you some perspective on situations, and I know we posted some scenarios on our Facebook page as well. But say, for example, you are I think the example that we gave was for a gardener or a landscaper. But say you're an IT technician earning at $23 an hour. Now, so what happens for you? So I'll give you a hypothetical situation. You're an IT technician. Your visa expires, say, 1st of August. Now, what is the situation for you? You're sitting at about $24 an hour. If your employer, so if you're 1st of August, you're on essential skills, you get a 6-month extension. So that's the first thing. After that extension, when you apply for your further visa, if your salary doesn't increase to $25.50, you're only going to come out with 6 months. So and you will have to go through the work and income route. So now is the time for you to think. But if that person applies before the 27th of July, there may be an opportunity for you to actually come out with a 3-year. Because right now, ICT technician is actually a skilled occupation, and the assessment remains on skill assessment of the occupation rather than on the pay rate. So, you know, you need to be careful of whether these changes are good for you or whether you're going to be worse off at the tail end of these changes. The other example is you've got someone that is, say, for example, working as a retail manager. And we did post this example because there's a lot of you that are working in liquor stores, in franchisee Foursquares, and, you know, those grocery and superettes that are franchisee model kind of businesses. And immigration has, for the longest time, been inconsistent in those areas. So some people have got 3 years visa, some have got 1 year. Off late, there's always a danger that you will be downgraded to a 1 year. Otherwise, you might have to do the ANSCO test. So for someone like that, if you're able to get over $25.50, a lot of you are sitting in that range between $24 to $26 an hour, then there's an opportunity for you now to be safely moving on to a 3-year post 27th of July. So I think there's a lot of complexity, and we've been talking in our own team all day today as well. There is no one answer for everybody. Every single case, we have to understand that case to be able to say whether you are better off waiting for the changes for the auto extension, or you're better off doing something now. So that's, I think, the big message that we want to give out there, that it's not just standard, everybody gets an extension. Because, yeah, the 6 months is going to be a bummer for a lot of people.
I think coming on to the 6 months, there's this other thing that, you know, how the low skill, and in the new world, it's going to be called lower paid, was 12 plus 12 plus 12 before the stand down kicked in. That is now changing to 6 plus 6 plus 6. That is changing to 6 plus 6 plus 6. Yeah, that's right. Before your stand down kicks in. So essentially that period that you had for 1 plus 1 plus 1 year, which was 36 months, is cut by half.
And it has been announced just yesterday. It's obviously very preliminary, so we just want to relay the information that's come to us, so that you'd know what immigration has advised us. There's a lot of gaps in that information, and we are waiting for further correspondence to come through. But the 6 months period will come off from the 11th of January 2022. So, you know, it's hang 10 in there. I think without getting it too complicated, just key points for you is understand what the rules are. Read them. They are available on a post. They're available on many advisors' Facebook pages. So understand those changes before you make a decision. And then from there on, either the changes will be helpful or they won't. But I think that's why we want to do this. Just very quick Facebook Live, just let you know what those changes are. so that you've got some information. Anything else, Anya, before we?
I think you should also tell people why these changes have come. Why have they done the 6+6+6? I think just a quick liner would make, just to give some perspective on it.
Well, I mean, the understanding that the government has is that there's many New Zealanders available for low-skill roles. And I think we, as a business, have seen that that's not true on the ground level. There's advertisements that are running for people that we thought that there will be a whole lot of New Zealanders applying, but we've actually seen that Work and Income has sent a very clean SMR. So I think that it's a political year. There's election that's happening in just the next few weeks. So there's obviously a misconception with the government that there's so many people available that can just get up and start working in those low-skill roles. So yeah. I think it is.
The official advice the government has put out is that they've done this to sort of protect the job market, because the job market's changing so quickly. So they don't want to give very long visas, because they want employers to have to test the market and see if there's by chance any New Zealanders available through the year. It is quite a headache for employers, because now they're having to advertise every 6 months. So I think the outtake from this is know the policies, and if you need to make a visa submission before 27 July, if that is the one that works for you, you need to act on it fast.
Now. Yeah,
because time is tight. We are down.
And if you have any specific questions, you know exactly where to reach us. So with that, I think, guys, that was the quickest Facebook Live we've done, but we will take your leave. Take care and stay safe.